Would you like to solve the problem of over-extracted, bitter French press coffee? We're going to give you a quick hack on how to do that today on FrenchPressCoffee.com. Hi everyone, I'm Brian with FrenchPressCoffee.com. Thanks for tuning in today. And as I said in the intro to this video, we're going to show you a hack on how to stop over-extracted, bitter coffee when brewing with a French press. Here's the problem. Most of the time when you brew coffee with a French press, and you stop that brewing process by pressing down on your French press, your water is still going to flow through some of those grounds there at the top. Just because you press all the grounds to the bottom doesn't mean that the extraction process stops. So you have two options. One of those is just drink all that coffee as quickly as you can. That doesn't always work for some of us. And the other one, which is the better one, is to pour that coffee into some kind of decanter or a thermos or some kind of serving apparatus, something along those lines. So our hack that we're going to show you today is a little bit of an advanced one, and it's one that you may not necessarily use all the time, but if you want to skip that step of pouring your coffee into a different pitcher, here's how you can do it. So our coffee in our French press here has been brewing for about 4 minutes, and we can see that the coffee grounds are starting to flow to the bottom. And so basically this coffee is ready. I can drink it. So what I would generally do, of course, is I would just simply take my French press lid and then I would push down. Before I do that, however, I'm going to use our hack, and here's what that is. Get yourself something to sift those coffee grounds out. And you can get creative with this if you wanted to, but what we're going to do here is just use one here that usually we would use for tea. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to reach in and I'm going to essentially fish out my coffee grounds. I'm going to try to be a little bit light about this, because I want to get as many grounds as I possibly can, and if I really kind of force this down there, I'm going to push more of the grounds down. So the basic idea here is to get as much of the coffee grounds as you possibly can, so there's less coffee in contact with the water before you finish your brewing process. So I've pretty much got all of this. Again, some of my grounds are already at the bottom of my press, and that is just simply going to happen. As the coffee brews, the grounds are going to sink to the bottom. But once I'm done and I've gotten those grounds out, this is a good amount of coffee that's not going to be sitting at the bottom of my French press and causing over-extraction. Now, I'll go ahead and finish brewing. And one thing that maybe is worth mentioning here is that if I were to just really get into this process a little faster, obviously, I would be able to get more coffee grounds. But there's a trade-off here potentially, right? Because you want to give your coffee enough time to extract and brew, but if you want to be able to get those grounds, it's a little bit of a race sometimes, because again, they're going to start falling to the bottom. But if you look at this now, compared to most of the time when I would brew with a French press, especially a larger one like this Bodum that I'm using, I would have a lot more coffee grounds down here at the bottom of my press. So that's less coffee that would be sitting at the bottom of my press and over-extracting. And so in theory now, I would get a less bitter, less over-extracted brew from my French press. Now, you're going to want to experiment with this because, remember, depending on the type of coffee that you're using, the roast, things along those lines, this could change the flavor profile a little bit for you. So you would want to play around with this to see if this does actually change things for you. And as always, there's usually more than one way to do things. This is an even simpler solution, and I have talked about these presses on FrenchPressCoffee.com before. Check out the Espro press, because here's what's different about the Espro press in comparison to a regular French press. Once I've brewed, the brew basket and the filter that's on the bottom of the Espro press is actually going to stop that coffee from actually over-extracting. So when I press down, those coffee grounds are essentially locked in. And we'll take out our liner here so that you can see the difference a little bit. Now, and you'll want to check out our videos about brewing with an Espro press. It's a different experience when you're brewing with an Espro French press. Again, that coffee will be trapped, and it's not going to over-extract and into the coffee that you're actually going to be drinking up here on the top half just above your filter. So that's an even easier way to do this. You want to fish those grounds out. But if you don't have an Espro press, if you're maybe not entirely too keen on the option of doing things like, let's say, shifting all of your coffee into a different decanter or something along those lines, this is a pretty good way to be able to get around that issue. So there you have it, everyone. That's a quick coffee hack coming to you from FrenchPressCoffee.com. I would love to know if you guys try this and if you like it, if it changes your coffee routine, if it changes your brew, if you like it, you don't like it, hit us up in the comments and let us know. As always, make sure to comment on our video, make sure to subscribe and turn on our notifications so you can see all of our new videos when we release them here at FrenchPressCoffee.com. And of course, don't forget to visit FrenchPressCoffee.com.
So did you like that video? So go ahead and give us a like. And for more caffeinated videos, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our channel as well. And if you do, I'll go ahead and give you a nice little coffee quote. Go on, I'll wait. You did it yet? Come on. There you go. And now for our quote. Remember that if it isn't caffeinated, it ain't coffee.